A dog is man's best friend. It's an old adage, it's an old saying, and I'm sure all of us growing in different corners of the world would have come across some instance where you go to a friend's house, you go to a shop, you go anywhere, and you will end up coming across an incident where you may have ended up patting a dog, unless you have a phobia towards a dog. There are dog lovers, and then there are those who completely detest the thought of a dog coming towards you. First and foremost, let's just settle this debate between humanity and the rights of an animal. There are enough legal judgments which exist in our country which will point us in the direction of how this balance is to be really maintained. But the Supreme Court order, which has been delivered in the national capital, which by the way has now been followed by a Rajasthan court also following suit, and maybe it will end up becoming a precedent of sorts for courts across the country to start taking this decision that if there are stray dogs, whether sterilized or unsterilized, these dogs should not be allowed to roam free. Let's break down the story for you in straightforward bullet points. First, is there a menace of stray dogs, street dogs, certainly in the national capital region or not? There is. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I was looking at some numbers, and well over 35,000 cases of dog bites, and in many cases leading to rabies, has been reported in the NCR itself. And what? We're just 7 months, 8 months into this year. Just imagine if this is the story in the national capital region, maybe the numbers in other parts of the country may be even worse. And we're talking about numbers which have been reported. So there is a dog menace. There is a menace of stray dogs. Point number two, do we have the infrastructure to take all these stray dogs and put them in an animal shelter or a dog shelter? I don't think so. That is where the real problem is. The reality is that when it comes to rights of animals, we have had strange dichotomies which exist between judiciary, animal rights activists, and citizens by and large. Residents Welfare Association across the National Capital Region have welcomed the Supreme Court decision, but then there are animal rights activists, there are NGOs, there are the likes of Maneka Gandhi who say that this order is unsustainable, that this order has to have a stay. Over the last 2 to 3 years, the number of videos which have gone viral where little children stuck in an elevator with a dog next to them being bitten off by the dog. Those children also need justice. They also need some forum, some mechanism of being able to deal with this problem. One size fits all, or one person saying that dogs' rights are being compromised because of the Supreme Court order, I think is missing the wood for the trees. Let's look at the idea of cow shelters, for instance. Because the protection of cow has ended up becoming a particularly potent political story, political agenda, hence there are statewide budgets which have now been allocated. There are many private individuals who spend a significant part of their time, money, energy in keeping these cow shelters going. Can we imagine a scenario where private bodies can now be encouraged through some incentivization of putting up these shelters? I was speaking shortly to an animal rights activist, to someone who's a great dog lover. Now, this person has a farm on the outskirts of the national capital, and her farm is already bursting at seams with well over 90 stray dogs that she has recovered from different corners of the city. Now she's under pressure. She's going around town trying to look for those stray dogs who she can rescue. You don't want a scenario where the civic authorities, in the garb of following and implementing the Supreme Court's order, ultimately end up culling dogs. That, I think, will be travesty of justice. Because if we have to show that there are lesser number of dogs on the streets, should these dogs be killed? I don't think anyone will support that. So the main problem before the Supreme Court following this order and implementing this order is how are you going to ensure that the civic authorities, the municipal authorities do not end up taking this shortcut route. Reduce the number of dogs, and then the number of dogs which are left, the number of stray dogs which are left on the streets, simply take them in a shelter where anyways those dogs will die out, maybe because of stories of corruption or because of lack of maintenance, lack of upkeep of these shelters. In reality, the Supreme Court's decision, just like the Rajasthan High Court's decision needs to be welcomed. You don't want a scenario where children are scared of going to playgrounds, of walking out of their houses. Not everybody loves a dog, not everybody hates a dog. Somewhere that central balance needs to be maintained. And I don't think the Supreme Court order is looking for that balance to be maintained. The Supreme Court's order is looking to create a situation which is very, very difficult to be created. And that's why it's important that you and I keep our eyes and ears open. If you see civic authorities or municipal authorities taking a dog somewhere, please ask them, where is this dog going? Where is the shelter? Please ask for pictures. Please ask for proof of, let's say, the right kind of food which needs to be given to these dogs. In the absence of these, you are only going to look at a mass massacre of these stray dogs. And that, to any human being, will not be a good story. Do tell us what you thought about this video in our comment section, and you can share your videos as well. You can share your inputs on the squirrels.in.